Welcome back to another episode of Smooth Brain EDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. This week, the Smooth Brain crew decided to brew up some decks focused around different creature types, so let's see what they brought to the table. Our first player today is Matt on Hawkball of the Surging Soul. This deck was chosen by our patron Alkis and is a Simic Merfolk deck, hoping to flood the board with fish and using Hawkball for card advantage and ramp. Up next is Jason on Harbin, Vanguard Aviator. Harassed by our patron Alkis for months, Jason finally broke down and built Harbin as a Azorius Soldiers deck, using the commander as a way to pump up his board for lethal swings. Third is Alex on Slimefoot the Stowaway. This Golgari Saproling deck was not influenced by our patrons in any way. Alex just wanted to play with his little plant dudes, using Slimefoot to drain opponents when the Saprolings bite the dust. Last up is Seth on Kibo, Uktabi Prince. Seth donned the banana suit once more to play another game with his monkey and apes, using Kibo to throw tons of +1 counters on all of his creatures. We're about to hop right into the game, but before that, go and give us a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Links to our social media, public Discord server, deck list, and our Patreon in the description. We're partnered with Dragon Shield. Check out our affiliate link in the description if you'd like to pick up any sleeves, deck boxes, or playmats. Use code SMOOTH5 at checkout for 5% off your order. We're also partnered with Inked Gaming. Our affiliate link is also in the description if you're looking to pick any custom playmats. Now, onto the gameplay.
It looks like Jason wins the die roll, and he'll just start off with a Plains and pass. Alex will play Necroblossom Snarl and reveal his forest, and then pass to Seth. Seth will play his Red Pathway, and then cast Ragavan. He'll then pass to Matt, who plays Secluded Courtyard on Merfolk, and then he'll cast Kamena's Speaker, and then pass to Jason. Jason will play a Darkar Wastes, and tap for 2 and cast Harbin, and he'll take 1 off his land. Then he'll cast a Mox Amber, and then pass the turn. Alex will play Phyrexian Tower, then cast Golgari Signet, and then pass to Seth. Seth will play a basic forest, and then he moves to combat. Ragavan pokes Alex for 2, getting Seth a treasure, and Alex will exile a forest. Then post-combat, thanks to the treasure, Seth will cast Kibo. The turn is then passed to Matt, and he'll start off with a basic island. Then he'll just pass to Jason, who plays another Plains. Then he'll cast Folk Hero. Then he drops Lavinia, and his commander will trigger, drawing him a card. He'll then move to combat, and hit Matt for 3 commander, and then pass to Alex. Alex will play a command tower as land for turn. Then he'll tap for 2 and cast Deathspore Thalid. And then he'll pass the turn to Seth. And he'll start off with a basic mountain as land for turn. Then he'll cast Simian Simulacrum. When it ETBs, he'll put 2 +1/+1 counters on Ragavan. He'll then move to combat, and he swings for 4 at Alex, who will just take it. So Seth makes a treasure, and Alex exiles Fungal Infection. Post-combat, Seth will activate Kibo, and everyone gets a banana token. Then, thanks to the banana and the treasure, he'll cast Lightning Greaves. Those will resolve, and then Kibo gets to put on some boots. Then the turn is passed to Matt. Matt will start off by tapping for 4 and casting Hackball, and since he used the banana, he'll gain 2 life, and Seth's creatures get counters. After this, Matt goes to combat, and both his Merfolk will explore. He reveals Simic Signet on the top for both of them, so they'll both get +1/+1 counters. The turn is then passed to Jason, and he starts off with a Nykthos. And then he'll cast Horn of Gondor, and he'll get a 1/1 when it ETBs. After this, he'll cast Thalia's Lieutenant, and this will draw him a card. Then when it ETBs, all of his other humans will get a 1/1 counter. He'll then move to combat, and he'll hit Seth for 4 commander, and then he'll pass to Alex. Deathspore Thalid gets a counter on upkeep, and then he'll play a forest as land for turn. After this, he'll cast Explosive Vegetation, and this will find him 2 forests. Then the turn is passed to Seth. He unfortunately will miss a land drop, but he knows what's on the top of Matt's library, a Simic Signet. So he'll move to combat, and swing Ragavan at Matt, who will just take it. So Seth gets a treasure token, and exiles Matt's Simic Signet, and Seth runs off to find his own so he can cast it. And he finds one. Yeah, webcam games and Ragavan don't mix well. Luckily it was just a Simic Signet this time though. Now post-combat, Seth will cast Rhythm of the Wild, and then he'll pass the turn to Matt, who plays a Reliquary Tower as land for turn, and then he'll cast Topography Tracker. It makes him a map token upon ETB, and dear lord, he's about to explore a lot this turn. Matt will then move to combat. All his creatures will explore twice, and he resolves his trackers first. He reveals Ripples of Potential, and he'll put it to the bin, and then a Coral Helm commander, and he'll leave it on the top of his library for the rest of his explores. So all of his creatures essentially just get 2 +1/+1 counters here. Matt will then move to combat, and Hawkball is pointed at Jason. Attack trigger, and Matt puts an island onto the battlefield, and then Jason takes 6 commander. And then the turn is passed to Jason. He'll start his turn off with a Deserted Beach, then he'll activate Horn of Gondor to make 4 1/1s. And when they hit the field, this will put 4 counters on Thalia's Lieutenant. Jason will then move to combat, and he swings for 4 in the air at Matt for 4 more commander damage. Then the turn is passed to Alex. His Thalid gets a counter, and then he'll sacrifice his banana for a green mana, gaining 2 life and getting Seth some counters. We then see a Tendershoot Dryad hit the field, and then after this resolves, he'll cast Slimefoot. He'll then pass the turn, and Seth will stop on instep and activate Kibo to give everyone more bananas. And then still on instep, Jason will path to exile Tindershoot Dryad. Alex gets a swamp, and then we'll move to Seth's turn. And he'll start off by activating Kibo again, handing out more bananas. After this, he'll cast Liquimetal Coating. Then he'll move to combat and swing for 6 with Ragavan at Alex. And Alex will just take the 6. So Seth will make a treasure, and then Alex exiles Necrogenesis, and Seth will leave it in exile. Then he'll just pass the turn to Matt. Matt will start off by casting Kindred Discovery, and he does use a banana, so he gains 2, and Seth's creatures grow. Then he'll play an Otawara as land for turn, and then he casts Coralhelm Commander. Seth responds by activating his coding to make the Kindred Discovery an artifact, then he'll destroy it with Kogla and Yadaro. They're shuffled back in, and he'll draw a card. He also gets counters since it's an artifact, and since he used 2 bananas, he'll gain 4 life. After this, Matt will move to combat, and there's exploration all around, and he starts off with his Coralhelm Commander. This reveals a basic forest to his hand, and then its second Explorer reveals Rapid Hybridization. And he decides to bin it. Next, his Tracker explores twice, and this reveals Emperor Mahil II. He decides to bin it, and his Tracker's second Explorer reveals Legolas's Quick Reflexes, and he'll keep that on the top for the rest of his Explorers. So there's counters all around. After this, Matt moves to combat, and he hits Seth for 8 commander damage with Hawkball, and he declines to put a land card into the battlefield so he can draw that Quick Reflexes. He'll then pass the turn, and Jason stops on instep to activate Nykthos for 4 white, and he does crack a banana, so triggers. And he'll flash in a Cemetery Protector. He'll get a card from Folk Hero, and then when it ETBs, he'll exile Ripples of Potential, and then his lieutenant gets a counter. Then he'll move to his turn, and the Horn of Gondor is blown again, doubling his soldiers. And this will give Thalia's lieutenant a ton of counters. Jason will then move to combat, and he swings a ton of creatures. After everything gets tapped, and including Harbin's buff and flying, 34 in the air swing at Matt, and 5 in the air is at Seth. Matt, who doesn't want to die this turn, will cast Legolas's Quick Reflexes on his Watcher, so it'll gain reach. And since he used a banana, Seth's creatures will grow. And now that Matt is blocking 15 damage, he'll only take 19 and survive. Jason will then pass the turn to Alex, whose Thalid gets its 3rd Spore counter on upkeep, and he'll immediately remove all 3 counters to make a Saproling. Then he'll drop a Skull Clamp, and the Skull Clamp is immediately equipped to the token, which will kill it, and when it dies, he'll get to draw 2 cards. And when a Saproling dies, Slimefoot will deal 1 damage to each of Alex's opponents, and he'll gain 1 life. After this, Alex will play a Swamp as land for turn, then he'll tap for 4 mana, 2 of which will come from his 2 bananas, which will gain him 4 life, and then grow Seth's creatures by 2, and he'll use this mana to cast Parallel Lives. Then after this, he'll pay 4 to Slimefoot to make 2 1/1 green Saproling creatures. Then with his last mana, he will Skull Clamp one of his Saprolings to draw 2 more cards, and then each of his opponents will take a damage, and he'll gain 1. Then the turn is passed to Seth, and he'll start off by activating his Liquimetal Coating to make Harbin an artifact. Then he'll pay 5 mana and overload a Vandal Blast. Jason will respond with a Flawless Maneuver, which does trigger his Cemetery Protector, giving him another 1/1, and this will trigger Thalia's Lieutenant. And Jason will also sacrifice his 2 bananas so he can get that 4 life. This still triggers Seth's creatures. Then the Vandal Blast will resolve, and a total of 5 artifacts were destroyed, so his creatures grow by 5 more. And unfortunately for the rest of the table, Harbin is still kicking. Seth will then move to combat, and he swings Kibo at Jason, and there's an attack trigger, and Jason's only artifact left is Harbin, so he has to sacrifice it. And counters all around. Jason will then just put an indestructible 1/1 in front of the monkey, and then the turn is passed to Matt. And he'll start off with a Master of the Pearl Trident, but unfortunately, Jason doesn't actually have any islands, so he still can't get through. He'll then move to combat, and it's time to start exploring. He starts off with Master of the Pearl Trident, and it's a mana drain, which he will put into the graveyard. Then a Deeproot Elite gets put in the graveyard. Then Coralhelm Commander will explore twice, and it's Elven Chorus, which gets put to the yard. Then Marrow Commerce will be put to the bin. The Tracker will then explore twice, and it reveals Arcane Signet, which is put to the bin. Then the One Ring, which will definitely stay on top for the rest of the explorations. Jason sees that Matt's going to try to draw this card with Hawkball and then play it on his second main, so before he declares attacks, Jason will Swords to Plowshares Hawkball. Cemetery Protector will make a 1/1, and then Hawkball is exiled, and Matt will gain 10 life. He'll then pass through combat, and then level up his Coralhelm Commander twice, and then just pass to Jason. Jason starts off by activating Nykthos for 5 white mana, and then he'll tap for an additional blue to cast Harbin. This triggers Thalia's Lieutenant, and then with his last 2 floating mana, and an additional 1 from his land, he'll cast Heresy Thalia, which triggers her Lieutenant, and also Folk Hero. Then he'll move to combat and swing 15 1/1s at Matt, and then everything else at Seth. Now Harbin will trigger because he doesn't need himself to attack, just 5 soldiers, so all these creatures will get +1/+1 and flying, which means a total of 31 damage is pointed at Seth and 30 at Matt. And they can't do anything about this because of the flying, so they are both just dead here. And then the turn is passed to Alex. Let's see if he can get out of this situation. And it looks like he can. He's been biding his time for the perfect moment. He'll cast Demonic Tutor. And this will find him a card, and he'll cast it, and that's Ashnod's Altar. And he can now present a loop. He'll start off by sacrificing his 1/1 and his Thalid, which will add 4 mana to his mana pool and deal 2 damage to Jason, and then he'll use that 4 mana to activate Slimefoot, which will make him 2 more 1/1s, which he'll sacrifice immediately for 4 more mana and 2 more damage to do it again, and then again, and then again and again and again and again, until Jason is dead. So yeah, Alex wins, and that makes him and Slimefoot, not Squee, the winners. Holy crap, what an underdog story. That was an amazing ending. Jason was really leading the charge throughout the entire game. Seth and Matt were very scary too. Alex literally just laid low and won on the last possible turn. That was fun. Let us know what you guys thought down in the comments below. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all have a smooth day.